Hello everyone, we are back on the spotlight for another day of depression as a Man United fan. And I'd love to speak about some positivity for once, but there just isn't any, is there? Bank holiday weekend, I've been ill, you wait all night for a Monday night football and we get hammered by Palace 4-0. And let's start off with a game. I mean, it's all been spoken about by everyone else. If you're watching me, you're watching other channels. The tactics, well, we'll start off with the squad, actually, before I get into tactics. We all know we were depleted. By depleted, and Eric Ten Hag talking about the back four and injuries, can we just talk about that we've got our number one keeper, Onana? Forget how good he is, he's our number one keeper. We've got our number one right back in Dalot, and we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who some would say is better than Dalot. Why is Eric Ten Hag, can somebody answer me this question, playing Wan-Bissaka at left back when he's terrible on the ball at right back and Dalot can play left back? I don't get it. So straight away there, everyone's saying we ain't got a back four. Well, we've got two starting fullbacks there playing on the wrong side of the pitch to each other. Who's that on? I'd argue this guy right here. Central defence, we've got Casemiro playing out of position, fine. I'm sure he's probably played centre-back before at Madrid and whatnot, but he looked like, I don't know what he looked like, running in treacle. I've said it on the last few videos. He is done, dusted at this level. He can't hack the pace of the Premier League. And then you've got Johnny Evans, who apparently was injured but played anyway. And he's been okay for us this year. So, out of the back five there, the keeper and the four at the back, three of them are established players in those positions. Eric Ten Hag has played two of them on the wrong side of the pitch, and you've got Casemiro who's thrown in there and had a stinker. Okay. Next on the squad, let's talk about the midfield. We've got Bruno out injured, which didn't care about one little bit. You know my thoughts on Bruno. He would have done nothing different in that game but run around and get petulant. Do not come at me and say Bruno Fernandes changes that game. We still get hammered. He would have been further up the pitch than Mount. Mount looked all right in the first half, to be fair to him. I thought he played all right, Mount, in the first half, got lost in the second half. Then you've got Mainu and Eriksen. We all know Eriksen's legs are absolutely gone. I actually thought with Mainu, Eriksen and Mount, even though they haven't got the most legs, I thought we might be able to keep the ball, but we couldn't. I don't know what was going on, but we were absolutely horrendous on the ball. Within the first 5 minutes of the game, I think Onana had oofed it up the pitch and just given it away 4, 5, 6 times. We could not pass to each other, and that has been a problem all season long. But the three established, all right, Mainu, he probably shouldn't be playing every game, and he has looked out of his depth, I think, the last couple of games. He's obviously got summits there, and he looks like a class player, but he cannot be Man United's be-all and end-all defender, central midfielder at 19 years old, thrown in halfway through a season. Just can't happen. The first goal was an absolute disgrace. You've probably all seen Carragher's comments saying we're the worst coach team in the country, and I don't disagree. It is woefully bad. The first goal is so bad you wouldn't see it on a Sunday League pitch. You've got 5 people ahead of the ball, and he just throws the ball past them all, which means Casemiro steps in to try and win the ball and dives in and misses it. There's a catalogue of errors in that. 1, Eriksen's too far up the pitch. The ball's thrown past him. 2, Wan-Bissaka is stood in no man's land. He's like 10 yards away from the thrower. And then whoever it was behind him is stood, and he could just easily just throw it over his head. He should have been on the toes of whoever it was, Mateta, Elise, whoever it was. Johnny Evans behind him, And then Mainu would have been filling the gap where the ball was thrown to. It was just a catalogue of absolute and utter on-pitch communication, disaster and coaching. Because people say you don't coach stuff like that. It's basic. I'm telling you, it's Premier League. They're coached where to stand on throw-ins, what structure to be in on throw-ins, to be behind the ball on throw-ins. It's absolutely outrageously pathetic, that goal. I mean, it is so comically bad, it's beyond belief. Then you've got Onana getting beat at his front post. Yes, he smashed it, but he's from a crazy angle and it's not in the roof of the net. It's like head height. If he's covering his near post, he saves it. And the fourth one, I don't know what he's doing, Onana. The ball is basically goes in the middle of the goal. I don't know how he's not saved it. It's just, I can't explain it. It's so bad. And yes, it is on the players. Yes, they walk around. Yes, there's not enough effort. But I heard something the other day, and this is an important thing. I can't remember who said it. Technically, we've got all right players. Mainu, Ericsson, Mount, some people say Bruno. They're technically good players on the ball, given time and space. The problem is the Premier League, I can't remember who said this, but they said it's getting to a point where to be a Premier League player, especially a midfielder, you don't need to be good at football. You need to be an athlete. And I tend to agree with that. You can't play in the Premier League now and be slow out of possession and in possession. You've got to be physically strong and athletic and be able to run and run and run. And our midfield can't do it. As good as Mainu is, he ain't a runner. He's not quick. He's not mobile. That would be a big problem for him going forward. If you look at some other teams around the league, the physical stature of their midfielders and the way they run over us, it's a very interesting... Because would you take 3 less technical players, but a big, strong and athletic and win the ball back and give it to a technical number 10? Because that would change us completely. Forget getting fancy midfielders. We need absolute athletes in there to compete on a physical level before anything else. And I mean, just on Ten Hag's tactics, again, he's done that interview with Neville, which we touched on last week, saying he won't change because of this reason, that reason, the other reason. Again, he's not changed, and we've just been spanked 4-0 by Crystal Palace. And again, people say injuries this, injuries that. I've just explained to you. We've got senior players all over the pitch. The front three, our main front three, some people say Højlund should be playing every week. Well, he is, and we paid 70 million quid for him. So he needs to get his head out his arse and start performing. Because as much as we all like Højlund, yeah, he's had one little spell this season where he scored a few goals. It's not good enough. And people say you don't get chances. You need to offer more as a centre forward than chances. He's got to come deep and receive the ball. He's got to make more movement to receive the ball, not just stand on defenders all the time. And if you watch that Palace game yesterday, the 4 or 5 times the ball's played into his feet, can't hold it. His first touch is bad. He's out-muscled. Too easy for defenders to take the ball off him. Yes, he's young, but how do you get up the pitch when your front target man can't hold the ball? Compared to Mateta at the other end, an absolute unit. Everything you send at him sticks. It's got to change. The injuries and excuses, again, as I just touched on then, and I want to talk about 9 out of those 11 starters are Erik Ten Hag's signings or people he's brought through. And we still get excuses about injuries. So, yes, we've got injuries to major players. I get that. And of course, it affects the team. But 9 of those 11 are brought in or brought through the academy by Ten Hag. and people are saying it's the players' fault. So you're telling me the players that this guy has brought through or bought or loaned are not playing for him? Forget the ones from before him. Forget Rashford, Bruno, Shaw. We all know I don't like them players, but they were not on the pitch today. His players were on the pitch and they're still not performing and doing what he so-called tells them to do. If that isn't the biggest red flag you've ever seen of a manager needing to go, then I don't know what is, because there's no excuse for yesterday. Yes, it's not our best squad, but with those three midfielders, we should be able to control that game a bit, and we haven't. We're all over the place again, absolutely horrendous, and 9 of the 11 players are brought through, bought or loaned by Ten Hag. So if you go back to my video last week, I'm not going to go over it again. I went over all 16 of Ten Hag's signings and what I think of them 2 years on, 18 months on, whatever it is. And you'll see what I think. I pretty much think all of them have been flops. There's not one Ten Hag signing that has been a success. Not even Martinez, not Højlund, not Anthony, not Matt. None of them have. They've either been out injured too much or they just have not performed in the shirt. And I don't know how anybody can argue that. At best, you can call a couple of them average, but the rest of them have been awful. And again, 9 of the 11 players starting were Ten Hag's people yesterday. And people, like, there's a lot of the other channels, like, we know them all, talking about this game in particular, that everybody expected us to lose this game. And I think everyone did expect us to lose this game. But that is not an excuse for 1 win out of 8. What about the last 4 months? Erik Ten Hag is coming out after the game and saying, we've only lost 4 times in 2024 calendar year. Well, that's 4 times too many, Eric. People like Man City and Arsenal and that lot don't lose that many games over a whole season. And then Sky had a graphic up after he'd said that of all the games in 2024 or whatever, the last 8 games or something, and we've won 1 of the last 8 games. The rest have been draws versus, and the game we won was against Sheffield United. You know what I mean? He's clinging on like, I don't know what he's clinging on, like a frigging, I hadn't even got an analogy for it. He's clinging on that bad. I can't see him being here next season, but I won't say that he won't be, because I don't think all of these other crap you hear on all these other channels and in the media, none of them know, really. None of them know anything. Nobody knows if he's coming or going. But like I said last week, even if Ineos want to keep him, he's sacking himself with results. We've got Newcastle, Arsenal, Brighton and Man City in the FA Cup final to go. Where is the next point coming from? Maybe Brighton, because they've probably got no to play for on last game of the season. We'll probably end up beating him like 3-0 because they'll just roll over. Arsenal could tear us apart. Newcastle will run harder than us. We know they will. They will beat us as well. Man City in the final. It'll be funny, won't it, when we play Man City and Ten Hag says he's not going to change his style because of this, that and the other. But we'll go into that final and probably sit with 10 men behind the ball and stick Rashford up front to run after it. Why ain't he just done that and played counter-attacking football for the last 3 months? We would have got results and he wouldn't be in this position. We're on for 8th place, -3 goal difference with 3 games to go, so it's probably going to get worse. The most losses ever in a Premier League season by a Man United team. Probably on for the lowest points record we've ever got. As much as anybody wants him to stay, and I get the reasons why, the rebuild, give him another year, give him a time under Ineos, there's nobody really to come in to replace him. But those things make it so difficult to get behind him. And the lack, and people say you can't have style of play when he's not got his own players and injuries. Again, he has bought 16 players or loaned or whatever, 16 players in 2 years. I don't want to hear the excuses that Murto did it, so-and-so did it. He was involved in buying these players and signing them off. Don't matter the price. He wanted Anthony 90 million. You know, he wanted Mount, who I actually like, but he's injured. He wanted Martinez, injured all year. You know, Onana has looked like he's basically a meme, isn't he, now, Onana? I don't even know what to say about him. He's absolutely pathetic. I mean, what else have I got written down here? I mean, Casemiro, absolutely dreadful. I mean, what has happened to that guy, man? I think Jamie Carragher said that he needs to leave English football at any cost. I agree. He's done. He's gone. He's getting walked past. You know, it's so bad. I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean, we're coming up to the Arsenal game. Is it next Monday, next weekend? So we've got another week to prepare. We had 9 days to prepare for this Palace game. And we've gone and got beaten 4-0. I don't care if we've got a bare bones team out. You should not be going away to Palace as Man United and getting beaten 4-0. I think something has got to be done at the club, and I think I've said it on previous videos, I'll say it again. The manager and 5 to 10 players need to leave. If we're resetting with Ineos and resetting the structure from this summer with Barada, Wilcox, Ashworth and all that lot, Ineos, Brailsford, blah, 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 why are we going to risk keeping Ten Hag for another year? He's got 1 year left on his contract. Do you really think he'll want to stay at Man United for a year with no contract opportunity at the end of next year? I think if he stays, he gets given another contract, and that's what the delay is. I think if he had 2 or 3 years left on his contract, Ineos probably would have backed him. But if you're going to get rid of him, now's the time, because you can say, like, due to the takeover, he don't fit our mould, and you leave like mutually, you don't get sacked. If he stays on, we spend 200 more million quid in the summer and he gets sacked at Christmas. It's horrendous. And like I've said, after the 16 signings and loans he has made, and I know Ineos will have an effect on transfers, it won't be so chaotic and stupid as it has been. Do you trust Ten Hag to spend another 100, 200 million on players? And then, even if you do, to get them in the team and play any sort of style of football that doesn't look like it's been mopped up off the local park on a Sunday morning. Because that is what we look like. I'm not even joking when I say that. Like, I play Sunday League football. I watch Sunday League football every single week, and I have since I was 7 years old. The way Man United play is no different to my Sunday League team. Go out there in your positions, lads. Do what you want and hoof some ball forward to a quick lad up front and hope that he gets in behind a couple of times. Somebody please tell me that there's any more tactical nous than that. And then the problem is you've got his stubbornness with his favourites. You've got his stubbornness with his tactics. When it's not going right in a game, we don't change. I just don't know what to do about it. Somebody please find a positive in the comments or something for me, because at this moment in time, there is no positive. And just on the people, as a final point, actually, the people saying, but Bayern Munich want him, so he must be a good coach. Can I just inform you that they wanted Nagelsmann, Rangnick, Alonso, and they've all turned him down? So basically, they're looking at fourth in line for Ten Hag if he gets sacked from Man United. Personally, I think if he does go, we will end up with Tuchel. It'll be like a swap. Again, a mutual. He's off to Bayern. We're getting Tuchel. Nobody gets sacked, but really you're getting sacked. That type of thing. To make everything look like it's hunky-dory and we're leaving on nice terms and parting ways. But I'd ask anyone out there who's an Eric Ten Hag in it, of all the things that are listed, worst Premier League loss ratio, most games lost, worst goal difference, -3 with 3 games to go, it's going to get worse. No style. 16 players bought and come through the door, not one of them has been a success. In-game management and substitutions, horrendous. Coaching is clearly very poor, whether it's by him or his staff. His interviews pre and post games are so bad that it riles all the fans up. Yes, he's had injuries. But do injuries make you be this bad? No. Not after 2 years when you've got 9 out of 11 players of people you've brought in. Why are they not performing for him? And why are they not performing in the style he has put out there? That is a massive concern. And some people say, well, he didn't really want Casemiro. He got Johnny Evans on a free. He didn't really want him. He bought Mainu through his 19. He brought Garnacho through his 19. Højlund's a kid. Højlund cost 70 million quid. You've got to expect more from him. Garnacho and Mainu, I'll give him the overplayed. Yeah, Johnny Evans, you're not going to want Johnny Evans, are you? But he's been all right for us. To be fair to him, apart from last night, you can't really argue. He's probably been one of his better signings. No excuse for Anthony, no excuse for Nana. I'm going on about transfers again, but there's a huge list of reasons why Eric Ten Hag should not be in this job anymore. And the only thing I hear back the other way is, if he stays, he'll clear out the players. We'll clear the players out anyway. We don't need Ten Hag to stay. We've all seen it with our own eyes. Ineos have seen it with their own eyes. Ten Hag ain't getting rid of Bruno, Shaw and Rashford and that lot. He's getting rid of the obvious ones. Martial. You know, that type. Casemiro, Varane that are on too much money. He's not ruthlessly cutting the squad from the top. Absolutely no chance. We don't need him to be there. And even if he could talk to the frigging owners now about what he thinks about the players, and then they can take it into the summer and do what they please with it. We do not need Ten Hag there to sell 5 or 10 players. That can be done anyway. There's just so many reasons. I mean, we're 8th in the league. It's going to be our worst ever league finish. Worst points ratio. Most losses ever in a season. A manager saying we haven't lost in 20... We've only lost 4 games in 2024, which is 4 more than City probably lose all season. We've not won a game in 1 in 8. If we don't beat Toon, Brighton, and that's 1 in 11 games we'll have won. And the game that we won was versus Sheffield United, where we went behind twice. Somebody in the comments, please try and tell me why Ten Hag is the man for the job. Because I have been Ten Hag out for a bit, as you know, but I've always on the fence, oh, he could turn it around, but this, but that. But the evidence is out there now that he's just gone. His own players are not even playing for him. And there's 5 or 10 other reasons why he should be out the door. I do apologise for coughing. I've got a cold, but I just don't know what else to say about it. It's so bad. Palace 4-0. Burnley 1-1. Coventry 3-3. Sheffield United 4-2. You know, we can't even scrape a decent result and performance versus the worst teams in the league. It's so bad. And I just feel like I've ranted and been completely negative this whole video, which I probably have. But there is no positive. At this moment in time, there's no positive. Personally, I think there's no way we sack him. I think he will go at the end of the summer, end of the season. We're not going to sack him before the cup final. Let him play the cup final. We'd lose with him or without him, I think, anyway. It's a one-off game. Try and get up for it. Hopefully we can do something. We should sit back and counter against City. They are open at the back. We've got quick lads up front. Just for once, Ten Hag, against City, sit in and just don't have an open midfield. And let's hope that we can get a result versus City, because we're not getting a result anywhere else, are we? And we're going to finish 8th in the league on a minus goal difference. And that's all I'm going to leave you with. I've been talking for nearly half an hour. I'm depressing myself as much as I'm probably depressing you lot. But normally I have something to say that's positive, but there's just nothing today, is there? There's nothing to say that's positive about this. And on that note, like, favourite, subscribe. Hit me up in the comments why you'd want Ten Hag in or out. Do all the usual YouTube stuff, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.